Hello there. Social development through all stages of childhood look very different. There are plenty of papers and research articles on these topics, and I will touch upon a few here. This video is organized into two sections. Section 1, play, friendships, and peer relations. Second, schooling, socioeconomic status, and ethnicities in schools and children with disabilities. I'm looking to explore each topic further through the articles. Play isn't just something fun for children to do, it's a major tool for learning major concepts of the world. Vygotsky thought that play, specifically make-believe play, strengthened cognitive, social, and emotional development in children. Make-believe play is an important tool. Within this type of play, children negotiate rules and roles, learning perspective taking and self-regulation. Children begin to learn the adult world through imitation and imagination, trying out different roles and social expectations. In order to influence personality development, play must develop. It starts from an objective-based play, simply manipulating the object in hand, to an identical replication of adult activity with no imagination utilized. Next, the imagination begins to form, but there is no interaction between objects. And finally, the child involves other children, plans, sets goals, and uses voices to indicate roles during play, fully incorporating imagination. Through this dramatic play, children learn the requirements for beginning of school. When play is stifled, between the ages of 3 and 6, children develop anxiety and delay in elementary school. It's hard to define something that seems so natural to so many, but friendship occurs between two or more people that is composed of mutual liking, affection, and emotional support. Klima and Rapetti also included intimacy as one of the characteristics of friendships. Many people tell their best friend things that they wouldn't tell anyone else, trusting that they won't be judged or their personal feelings won't be exploited. Supportive friendships are important to the psychological development of children and can lead to better outcomes. Having good friends allows children to have less stress by giving them ways to cope with that stress, like talking to their friends about a problem. Those that cannot make friends are more vulnerable to psychological stresses. Peers are extremely important in young childhood and can impact them in positive and negative ways. Peers can provide companionship, support, nurturance, validation of self-worth, and a sense of belonging. That's a lot more responsibility than we thought when we engaged in the game of hide and seek with our neighborhood friends. It's true though, the peer group gives us a feeling of belonging to something. Outside the family unit, friends are next in line to show us the ways of the world and help us create our individual selves. Away from our families, we can figure out who we are without them. Once reaching the adolescent years, the importance of friendship grows exponentially. Flanagan describes how these friendships are changing. Not only does friendship have the same benefits as early childhood, as mentioned before, but these friendships validate ideas and help resolve confusion about themselves. Also, intimacy plays a greater role now. As teens spend a greater amount of time outside the home and with friends, they rely on them as confidants. They're able to be more open with them without fear of judgment as maybe their parents might be. Friends in this stage help guide one to who they want to be in life and influence self-worth and social and emotional adjustment. However, early adolescence is a particularly vulnerable time in life. The peer structure is changing, and that creates increased levels of social anxiety. There's a motivation to appear competent to peers in social situations to gain acceptance into social circles. Those with decreased social skills will experience negative peer interactions, and this can be internalized by the adolescent and inhibit future attempts at interaction. This can affect friendships moving forward, although this time in life can carry over into adult years as well. High levels of social anxiety are also associated with substance abuse, depression, and suicide. On to the second topic. Traditional teaching is an instructor talking and students listening and absorbing their words. This type of teaching isn't the most effective for children or for adults for that matter, especially if there's no interest in the subject or if there are any kind of attention deficit issues. Modern constructivist learning theories is a deviation from traditional learning because it gets the learner to take a special interest in that topic at hand by discovering the information themselves. In Gangwar's study, they looked to study the effects of a project-based learning on academic achievement and how it compares to traditional learning. The results showed significant improvement in academic achievement for those students who were exposed to the constructivist project-based learning, and in comparison to the control group, they had higher scores. Among adolescents, peer groups tend to segregate and take on the behaviors and attitude of their social circle. The groups we choose to belong to are the ones that make the most impact in who we become. Liking the same things, participating in the same activities, and peer pressure from the rest of the group are the most important ways peers affect an individual's academic success. Caldas and Bankston explore the concept of socioeconomic status and ethnicity in their study. They were looking to see how socioeconomic status affected academic achievement in schools. The influence of peers on academic achievement has long been recognized, but they were looking to see if they could hand select certain traits and introduce them into a peer group to see what made the most impact: low poverty status or high family social status. It was found that adolescents in the poverty status had a small independent negative effect on the peer group in which they were introduced. However, adolescents with elevated family social status had a significantly positive effect on the group in which they were included. In essence, what this tells us is that the group that the adolescents belong to can influence their behavior and performance, but also each individual can impact the group. It is commonplace for children with disabilities to be integrated into classrooms with typically developing peers since the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990. Many people are of the mindset that all children should have the right to as normal of a life as possible, and that includes learning in classrooms in which have both children with disabilities and those without. There are significant benefits to children without disabilities being an inclusive program. Children learn to be more aware of others' needs, they learn to be responsive to the needs of others, and also accept diversity in others. It is believed that attitudes and perceptions are learned, and early development is when people are most impressionable about diversity. In their study, Innes and Diamond wanted to see what kind of influence mothers had on preschool-age children when describing pictures of children with disabilities. In this study, it was found that mothers who engaged in more discussion and asked more questions of the pictures had children who were more curious, interested, and asked questions in return. Also, after being exposed to the pictures with their mothers, children who were then asked hypothetical questions about what they would do in the presence of a child with disabilities showed more compassion and helpfulness than those children who had less involved mothers. There's much to be learned from these studies in regards to social development. Children can run into multiple issues that affect their development. Children need to play, have friendships, interact with their peers to pave the way for smooth transition to adulthood. Their schooling, socioeconomic status, and ethnicity and abilities are compounding factors for development. With the right support, children can overcome many obstacles. Thank you.